So it's my pleasure to be able to introduce to you this morning Thomas Thuấn Đặng Vũ, who was born in Saigon in 1970. His family endured hardships under the communist regime during the war, including the detention of his father for several years. The family emigrated to the United States in November of 1986 when he was 16 years old. They settled in Atlanta, Georgia, and after attending public school there, Thomas earned a scholarship and entered the Savannah College of Art and Design, where he doubled his workload and graduated summa cum laude with a BFA in painting in only 2.5 years. His work has been in a number of shows, and he has had solo exhibitions in several venues, including the Melvin Peterson Gallery at the University of Evansville in Indiana in 2012, and at One Art Space Gallery and the ISC Museum Foundation, both in New York City during 2011. In addition to his work in fine art, Vũ is prolific and highly regarded in the fashion design industry. He is also an accomplished musician, having mastered the Chinese zither, and he will say what it's really called. He'll tell you the real name of it. And we'll also get to hear some of it this morning. He's performed at the Alice Tully Hall, the United Nations, London's Royal Opera House, and in 2002 was invited to perform for the Nobel Prize laureates at the historic Athenaeum Club in London. Please join me in welcoming Thomas Thuấn Đặng Vũ.
Thank you, Martha, for the great introduction. Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming to the 22nd annual Helen Clark Berlind Symposium talk. I'm extremely fortunate that to have this opportunity and share my story and my painting with you. As if only 38 years ago is the fall of Saigon, and many Vietnamese families left their home and find refuge from other countries, United States included. And at first we all tried to assimilate to the new culture and working hard to provide for our children, our family and loved ones for a brighter and better future. About this is on the third decade of Vietnamese Americans start to speaking out about their experience, their history, and to show the younger generation what the history was and what their family have endured, or the fact that a part of the history that not many young Americans know of. And we started with poetry. We started expressing ourselves within music and fine art, visual art, and brought along with us many things, many traditional cultures, many histories and old values. And thank you for coming here, and I hope I'm doing an okay job to represent my story. And I have a few words for some fellow Vietnamese that's here today. Thưa các bạn, trước hết tôi cảm tạ các bạn đến tham dự buổi triển lãm và thỏa luận của tôi ngày hôm nay. Thưa các bạn, từ biến cố 1975 tới nay đã hơn 30 năm. Nơi đất khách, nhiều người và đang cố gắng ghi lại trong thi văn, âm nhạc những nét đẹp của nền văn hóa của chúng ta trước kia. Có người cũng muốn nói đến như điều này, nhưng vì hoàn cảnh hay trường hợp nào đó mà chưa được thực hiện. Phần tôi rất là tiếc khi rời về quê hương rất là còn nhỏ, chỉ hồi tưởng lại một phần nào đó. Cho nên những tác phẩm của tôi cũng chỉ ghi lại được một phần những điểm văn hóa đẹp đẽ của chúng ta trước kia qua nghệ thuật mà thôi. Mong quý bạn vui lòng đón nhận. And started working through my story right now, and I included some personal family pictures, so to paint an image to help you to visual what I came from, how I got the idea of for my artwork, the poetries and the iconographies. I'm starting with story, and story is history, and is verbally passing through family generations or personal experience. As a child, if the two moments that you remember most is the joyous moment or something really tragic happened, and living in New York and experiencing September 11, we all remember what were we doing, where we were at that moment. Therefore, the fall of Saigon, I was 5 years old, and it's like other South Vietnamese family. We remember because such a big tragic happened, such as people come to your, stranger come to your home and took your belongings and raided your home and persecute you. It's traumatized for a kid. My family came from Hanoi. The village outside Hanoi called Hành Thiện. And the last name Dang Vu is from the Hành Thiện village, and there's a proverb in Vietnamese culture say, Tiền Bắc Cổ Am Hậu Nam Hành Thiện. North have Cổ Am village, south have Hành Thiện village. That for many generations that we have been scholar and served the emperor and kings of Vietnam. We wrote script for their library, collections. And we're very proud to be a part of the Dang Vu family. When North Vietnam lost for the communists in 1954, my grandfather has bring some of the family members down south to Saigon. The city in Saigon now we call Ho Chi Minh City. And this is my last name, Dang Vu, and the old culture we use Chinese script. And that is the family's crest, and the village is illustrated on the map. This is the main Dang Vu altar of that village. This is the main gate. And this is in the village. There's a Buddhist temple called Chùa Keo, and this is one of the important temples in Vietnam. UNESCO site is this temple. This is my grandfather. My grandmother's on the left, and my aunt is on the right, and she just passed away at 95 in Holland. My grandfather. My father, we're turning 81 this year. This is when he was a kid in Hanoi and went to the French boarding school. At the age of 20, this 1954, my family moved down from Hanoi to Saigon. And 4 years ago, I'm lucky enough to be able to bring my father back to see my aunt, another aunt in Hanoi, the old quarter of Hanoi, that he hasn't seen for 50 years due to this separation of North and South Vietnam. And we went to the Temple of Literature, and because my dad he can read and write the whole script, and showing me our family history, who's on the plaque of the stone, who graduated, or for this temple from we call it the Temple of Literature, Quốc Tử Giám. Come from a very traditional family. Living with and growing up with my grandparents were Buddhist, and Vietnamese, the old family Vietnamese structure based on Confucius teaching. Our ancestor is the top, and we pray to them. We have an altar in our home, I brought my father back. This is at Maier Street in Hanoi, the old quarter, and we came to our aunt's house, which is the older aunt, and he giving respect to the Dang Vu family. The reason I'm going to this is because a lot of my painting work is about offerings, the ancestor, respect to the ancestor, and conversation with the ancestor. This is how the altar is set up. This is my aunt's altar. There's to be the deceased picture of your loved one, and the incense in the center, and offering food, whatever you have. Right before you eat, you can offering it and the incense. So when the incense burnt out, and you can start eating the feast. Usually you leave your ancestor and eat first. Coming to Atlanta, Georgia, we brought the same practice with us, since my parents are a very, very traditional family. And this is in Atlanta, Georgia. Yeah. I have one in my home in New York City as well. This is mine, and I think that is my grandfather writing the ceremonial, the old script. Came to America with us. Came from that small village, but it's all focused in education. So my father had the same mentality that you have to be educated, and you have to be you have to adapt to a new culture, educated. So therefore, when we came to America, he brought the typewriter, the heavy, old-fashioned typewriter, and I still have it until now. And along with them, some family pictures and some currency that's from the 1800s that my grandfather used to have. That is the old Vietnamese and Indochine area currency. This is a personal picture. The reason I show you this, because this is me. And to help you the visual of that, at that age, what happened to my family. So very soon after that picture taken, a few months, and the event happened, the fall of Saigon, when the South Saigon government had lost to the communists. That's really, that event is very traumatic for me personally, and millions of Vietnamese people from the South. So that is how old I was. This is a typewriter. Yeah. My work is mostly about layering and covering up. Under every single painting, I start with the dotting. I pretend with me and my sister was playing, connecting the dot, and it's just gonna take for a week. Like it's a big painting, and you can connect a little dot, and you have to strategically plan, see who's going to win, and count how many triangles you got. And underneath all of my paintings, starting out with a very simple childhood game that my dad taught me when I was young. And then I'm layering up with, and I cover it all up with white. Usually I start out like that and cover it completely. So a lot of painting you don't even notice. Some of the under paint was there. This painting is right there. It's called Thiên Thai. And it's some evident if you going up close, you can see many, many layers under the white area. Yeah. I love to incorporate the old poetry because the words and the back in those days are very poetic, somewhat simple but complicated, but people don't use it nowadays anymore. Since I grew up with my grandfather and my dad, and they always recite poems in the house. So even though I'm very young, I remember. And one of the poem by Thuấn Đặng, which is he's like the pioneer of Vietnamese poet, that I really love is called Thiên Thai, which is this painting based on the Promised Land. I would like to recite this poem in Vietnamese first and then in English after. Lá đào rơi rắt lối thiên thai, suối tiễn oanh đưa luôn ngậm ngùi, nửa nắng thiên cánh một bước chân ai. Ước cũ duyên thừa có thế thôi, đã mòn rêu nhạt nước cháy hơi trôi. Các hạt bay lên phủ tận trời, trời đất từ đấy xa cách mãi. Cửa đồng đầu non đường lối cũ, ngàn năm thơ thẩn bóng chân chơi. Plum leaves fall amongst our footsteps in paradise. Radiant birds, music, waterfalls, sing a sad farewell to our life in paradise. Returning dreams faded, promise forgotten, the crane already flown. Running river have washed away many seasons. A lifetime is gone. Forever now, heaven and earth are separated. Yet, even as road still cling to the mountainside, an old moon longs for the next 1,000 years. I'm very fortunate to have Richard Balestrino translate this beautiful poem, the collection of my poem, my grandfather, and some Tanda and one German poem into English. And Richard Balestrino is sitting over there. Yeah. And also is the little origami on my painting right next to the drawing of a kite was a ceremonial letter my grandfather written. And in Vietnamese, I was reciting Vietnamese first and then in English. Mời họ vào làng lễ, đốt hương, yên lặng để tiếp nhận người quá cố. Lễ hai là lễ một vái, đọc cáo từ một vái, lễ hoàn tất. The ceremony called the family to come, join the ceremony, and offer incense, silent for the people who have passed. Bow to bid farewell. Bow in humility and respect. Bow in deference by kneeling in length and in depth. Growing up in Vietnam, before the event happened, our families lived in a whole street, like my aunt, my cousin was right next door to us. So when the communists came, they just really took the whole area, and then the last area is the garden area. Usually the old-fashioned home, we have a kitchen outdoor, and the old-fashioned, you have plants and kitchens outdoor, and that's where we live after they took everything. Across the street from where we live was the intelligence office of the U.S. and the CIA. And after the communists took over, the communists, we call them officers, they all lived in there. So we've been watching all the time. Right across the street, they looked into the tree, the mango tree, or they could see you. And right outside our wall is very typical. I still have a lot of those speakers in Vietnam and communist propagandas and all day lasting messages. And the home that we used to live in turned into a community home. All the furniture had uploaded and taken away. So it's just an empty room, and maybe half of the side. And all the adults would go there in that room, and the next door would be the kids would go there. So to study the little book that Ho Chi Minh has sent out, that you study that little, communist rule, guidelines, and you all sit on the floor. So I was like, wow, this is my house, and everyone is here now, as a kid. And the message of the propaganda is like running out of times over and over and over again. My latest year of painting actually is the black grounded or navy ground painting. And again, if you have a chance to come up, and you can, now you can be able to see and spot it. Oh, there I cover up, and then erase. Like memory that you don't want to remember, and you erase and start over again. And this painting I did when I turned 40 a few years ago. And this is another beloved poet that had persecuted by the communists. This Vũ Hoàn Trường. Dấu hỏi vây quanh tròn kiếp người, xên bò nát ốc lệ thầm rơi. Chiều nay một dấu than buông xuống, đình đống vào sân tiếng trả lời. Our life is a question, like the sorrow snare, who wails lost in the forest, shedding a trail of tears in his agony. So startled by the pounding answer, the nails in our coffin. I start to use a lot of fabrication and threading in my work. And with this series, this is just one of the series, together with oil paint and layering of pigment and mixed media with poetry. And the symbolism of the toad, as I grew up in that garden, we have a lot of toad, they kept hopping around. And there's a proverb, also Vietnamese proverb say, con cóc là cầu ông trời, ai mà đánh nó thì trời đánh cho. Meaning the toad is the uncle of the heaven. If you torture the toad, the heaven will punish you. So it's all about respect, and whatever I do in the garden, my grandfather would say something like that to me, or my father and my mom. There's a lot of toad images throughout my painting, because I lived through that toad, those toads, like wow, I'm talking to them as if they're my uncle, like a little child. And at the same time, I see a lot. After that, I grew up and roamed the street of Saigon, And I see how people were treated. You know, I see, like, my grandfather was sick one day. Because I'm with my grandfather all the time in his shadow. And we went to the clinic. And then we asked him for syrup, for a cough syrup. And the nurse at that time screaming at, she was like in the 80 years old, she's screaming at my grandfather and just say, you shut up and just bite your tongue, you don't need that. For a kid to see someone disrespect your grandfather like that, and here my grandfather cannot say anything and he just walk away, because it's not our place. The neighbor is not your neighbor anymore. After the communist took over, you don't trust anyone anymore. You get robbed. The government give you a raffle ticket. The family we have is 9 people, so you have to line up to get rice and corn and fish sauce. You know, it doesn't matter how many people in your family, or the next door 5, you have 9. You have the same raffle ticket. And if the neighbor can spy on you and say something bad about your family, they're going to gain another ticket for their family. So they would do anything for that. So we'll be taught, say, do not say anything, do not say anything. And so we live in a very secluded, because my father's in prison and everyone tells us we are the son and the children of the traitors. And my mom and my grandfather taught us don't say anything, just keep. So even when we go to school, you know, you learn about the history. I'm not sure that's the right history or not, but you have to. But in my head, I'm very rebellious. I don't believe. Because what I saw is not what it is on the street. You know, you saw how they treat people and how people were so hungry in Vietnam, was so poor, and I see fetus everywhere in the gutter. And I just block it out and I just go home, and me and my ancestor. My job is just to buff all the bronze that the candles handles and the incense holder. So whatever we have for dinner that day, or banana or something, that's why a lot of people say, why banana, why banana? Simply is an offering food. It's the cheapest offering food at that time that you can get, because there's no food. And even banana, I remember my grandfather had to cut like to pieces to provide to us, you know, even banana, and then we have to live very a day by day kind of stuff. It's like you don't trust anyone. There's a spy. Anyone can be a spy. And the newspaper, every day you flop you read a newspaper or any kind of book in school. There's communist propaganda. It's like American GI soldier eating Vietnamese flesh. It's very visual at that time. Everything is visual. They demonized American every day. And through, you know, it doesn't matter what age, that what you see, banners on the street and speakers and so on. During that time, the early 80s, that's why most of the Vietnamese fled to Vietnam. You probably know the Bo people. And they rather risk all their life. They rather just like, here, take my kid. You know, I worked hard all my life. Take him to America or to Canada to give him a better life. You know, what mother can do that? Because they see no future. And everyone was so upset, but you can't say anything. Because something you talk about with your neighbors can go against you. back to the propaganda's subject. My home was turned into the meeting of the communist meeting and study of Ho Chi Minh ruling book. You'd call it Bible. And also, after that, is turned into a sewing factory. So, just sewing the Vietnamese flag right now, you see the red with a yellow star. So my mom and other women in the area had to gather around and sew the flag. And what bothered me the most, because my family, the ancestor come first. So even though my grandparents, they're both Buddhists, this always comes second, because we are the old traditional family, and I'm Catholic, so, and also the ancestor comes first. So when the communists came and the propaganda started to spread, Uncle Ho picture, you have to have Uncle Ho picture in your home. And there's big, huge photograph of Uncle Ho right on top of your ancestor, above everything. And that's really make me angry. And I've been praying to my ancestors and talk to them, and here looking up above my ancestor, there is Uncle Ho. He have no relation with me or my family. So every time we look at a picture, it's in our home. You have to have it, and we resent it. But you cannot show it. That's probably the problem. I still have issue when I see an image now, probably. Yeah. Let's move on to the next painting. To hear the tone again. This is a line from my poem I wrote. It's one of the lines. It says, "Dream in 40 years, not yet finished or achieved." This is the image of a grenade in the can, in the canned food. So that's how they usually trap the American GIs. Usually, they put a grenade in a string underwater. So if you walk through it, and then that's how it explodes. You know. So, but it's like an old trick that we old kids do with the firecrackers, fireworks. I mean. And this piece is really dedicated to my grandfather and his anguish after seeing his son was captured and then living with 7 grandchildren in this home, and he have no hopes, you know. He's ready to go with Buddha, you know. So he wrote this, and it's recited Vietnamese first. Suddenly từ biệt, ai chẳng nhớ thương, cháu con trong họ, đau đớn khôn lường, người đi theo Phật, cực lạc Tây phương. And it's just the beginning of the long poem he has. For all my family leaving this earth, hurling through the typhoon, we offer teardrops from an open wound, dying inside forever. Spirit joining the journey, following Buddha to the west. Talk about the religions during that time. My father was captured at the second round capture. You know, when they want to capture, the first round is always the general that to do with military. The second round my father was captured together with the archbishops of Vietnam, South Vietnam, the monks that political involved, and also the publisher. It's a very big publisher, well known in Vietnam, that published over Vietnamese dictionary or newspaper. So that is the second round with my father in prison with them. it doesn't matter during that time. You're not allowed to. They don't believe in God, or they have their own way to. So I remember we used to have to. My mom always sent a few of us to some other area in someone home in the back alley, and then end up with someone home and a priest there, and then you use your communion. It's very undergrounded, and we cannot all go at once the same. So my mom sent a few. At that time it's very difficult. In the beginning, there's no religion whatsoever. I'm sure it happened to the Buddhist temple as well. And for the first 10 years, I don't think it is true that there's nobody can study religions in Vietnam for the Christian religions or Buddhist study. It's forbidden, and you're not allowed to speak in English, study English or French or Chinese. It's always Russian. I hate that class so much. I was like, I have to take Russian, and at that time, it's because Vietnam followed the communists of China and Russia, so that's why the parties, they're the allies. The communists have thrown away a lot of traditional practice. I'm not sure if you guys know or not that I'm not a historian. I'm not here to tell you about the Vietnamese history. In fact, the Vietnamese history started in 200 BC Hong Kong period, and then after that, over 1,000 years we under Chinese rule. So that's why a lot of our script are written over in Chinese, and a lot of its history and the holidays are almost identical, including the Lunar New Year, the Mid-Autumn Moon Festival, the Qingming, Tianming, Tengming, all the holidays right now. But you can't deny the fact that is fundamental of the Confucius study. You cannot really throw away any of that. And my father grew up in the French occupation. He go to a French boarding school, and if they hear you speak French, you'll be doomed, or English, you'll be doomed. And it's not really a good way to restructure the government, because the more they do that, the more people are resenting them. Yeah. And this again is about my conversation with my ancestor. Perhaps this one is confession, and that's one thing I do wrong. I would talk to my ancestor. And this is Baghdad River is the next piece. The poem is another poem written by my grandfather, and this is when he's really, really angry, and he would say, làm sao cứ nhì nhặn sống mãi, sống một ngày càng phải lo toan, nào là tình cảnh gian nan, nào là gia thất nhiều thuyền đáng kể. Why do I have a wake today of torment, this day of anguish times, and the family's suffering, sorrow of blackness? Why must they awake to this endless season of despair? Then I remember it very clearly. This is another part that I came and emptied my home, and I have a lot of toys that handgun. I'm not sure legal now, but at that time my father bought me a lot of the 1960 Western with the ivory handle gun. And I have a collection of that gun, and the communists came in and took the whole collection. As a 5-year-old boy, he was like, that's what you want. And I have 3 older sister and an oldest brother. So I always help him to make all this handmade toys. So we find scrap woods, and we cut and made these, this toy is just like a slingshot when you put fireworks in the middle and then you pops it. So a lot of them are just images of my childhood and the toy that we made. The next painting is called Offering. Right now you quite clearly see what I meant about the altar table and offering food and the thoughts and the incense flying away. Perhaps that's rain, or perhaps the layers of prayers. We're back to the toad, and this is when I was young, and I respect the toads, and yes, I'm now respect the toads. So now what? Can you go to heaven and ask heaven to bring back my father? That's what I told him, and I just imagined that the toad can walk himself to heaven. I mean, there is a story, a folklore story of. Vietnamese folklore story about a toad that go to heaven and asking for rain, but this case is asking for my father. And there's an old quote that the old-fashioned home used to have we call it câu luyện. It's like on both sides of the entrance, and this have to do a lot with the season. A lot to do with a lot of people that can predict the future. They were based on these two quotes as what you call a fortune teller. They would say tứ thời bát tiết canh vi thủy, another câu là lục liễu đôi bồ dục định trăng. So I'm using the quote as going hand as the fortune teller to ask the toad at the same time that, can you help me? Can you help us? And there's a series of that quote that I did. Also, this is the game that my brother and I did. Basically, it's a scrap with 2x4, and you put 2 nails down, and the big sling, the rubber band again. And then you put dry grass flour, right? So at the end, you pretend like they're a rooster fight. So you put on each side one, and you have a stone, and you just rub it on top of the nail to create this friction, the vibration to move that grass flour to the other side. So whoever knocks each other off first will win. So we play silly toys like that. You can see better this way. This painting is I call it Ding Ding Say. It's sober drunk. It's based on the poem by Tanda, and Tanda loves to drink, and when he drinks, he makes a series of poems, and this is one of the poem that he did about the top, spinning the top. Trời sinh ra tớ kim con quay mít mù xanh nghỉ cùng hay, lì mít gian sơn khi trong màn, đùng lăn thiên địa lúc rời tay, lăn băn thân thế đi đường, hiên ngả quan hà tỉnh say, thân tớ ví to bằng quả đất, cùng cho thiên hạ có ngày. Born of heaven is the top, spinning and swirling, wild and blinding to see, yet drunken with dizziness and suffers, fighting surrender to a tidal horizon. She is earth like heaven, sick her day and night. It's a metaphor of, for me, and I did this because the metaphor of the government at that time, they probably think that you have no right. At that time, it's like, oh, the home, you cannot lock your door, or the officer can go in and out anytime. And they go in and see what you eat, or they join you your food. You're not allowed to lock your door. And it's like the government, is control everything, and see is like their God. So the top perhaps think he's the earth. He have a light and a dark side. When he spin, just like the earth. This is the painting that is really a departure from what I do. Usually I don't talk about a guilt or thing that make what I did and I feel bad about it. So this is a painting, and the first painting that I did, and then I confess that what I did at that time as a young teen, early teen, that I was so hungry. I stole someone else's food, and it's haunting me until this day. Confess to the ancestor. But I wish at the same time that I didn't do it, So then this is the paintings that you see right in front there is the Agent Orange. Another poem for my grandfather. Kính chào cậu bạn gần xa, rằng tôi kiếp trước oan gia thế nào, hay là tại đấng thiên tài, quên không mở sổ thế nào ấy chân. Dear friends near and far, what I have done in my past life, it seemed the heaven God forgot to pencil me in his book. And again, the communist propaganda and the what I see as the icon, I use a lot of icon in my work, is what I see every day on the street, This series it's a drawing series. I don't show them much, but I really love them. It's a smaller series of work, and lucky enough, the Drawing Center accepted me for this body of work for their online. And this is when my father just got out of prison, and we are. This is around that time. And at that time we want to escape through boat. And, a lot of family talk, and we don't dare tell other people that we are planning the trip. Yeah? My cousin did it. A lot of Vietnamese people did. Most Vietnamese people did. I remember my cousin came back, run into our home, and hid there for a few days because her father wasn't succeed, and they come to capture them. But she's the one that able to run, so she ran away, and then she, this is her story. Is that one of those fishing boat, little boat, that you pay so much money for it, all your life saving, like the gold bunions, that's how you pay. During the daytime, they pretend like they go to the beach. So each family member would take a small container of gasoline and go to the beach and dig under the sand and cover it up. So when night comes, evening comes, it's so jet black, so it's a lot of Vietnamese with young children start to go from that little small boat from the lake and then to the ocean. A lot of them are just treading water like here with baby inside, trying to keep the baby not crying. You'll be busted. And they go to the beach and they start to bind those container gasoline and put together, become a bigger container. And then from far away you can see the boat and signal you to come in. And then you're gonna swim out there and in quiet. Imagine in the ocean with your kid, your children, and you get on a boat with 70 people in a small boat. We have to hit it in the bottom, and I hope you don't get catch by the communist guard. Some of them do, and then they go to prison for 3 years, and then they come out. My cousin did it again. So, and they end up in Holland now. So, the Vietnamese community, like I said in the beginning, after a few decades, provide for their kids, restart their lives here, and finally they can then regroup and have time to share their story. And this is the moment I feel that a lot of Vietnamese Americans start to speak out. It is history. History is very important. You can't erase history. History is who you are and where you come from. So, regardless, people say, oh, that's just history. History is who you are, and that's where you come from. And without history, you are nobody. Really, you came from nothing. You came from, So when he got out of prison, he never talked about his experience in prison at all. Never. To this day, he doesn't. I find all the information out from my mother. He was tied to a chair in the 6x6 cubicle in the dark, jet black, and they come and they throw water at him once every other 3 hours or so, and they confess. And so it's the revisiting to my childhood that what we want in our dream, and in hopes to get on a boat in the oceans and hope someone can pick us up in international water division can pick you up, and a lot of talk in my family like that. So we don't dare to say anything to any neighbor because I don't know. A lot of my works, the drawing, they're based on a linear line drawing, using mixed media graphite, and draw color pencil, nails, and wire. My father also an acupuncturist, and after he got out of prison, he practiced, and for the monks, Buddhist monks that ill, and the nuns or the priests in the monastery that they owe and need medical help. So he would bring his bag to the convent or the temple to help out those in need because they was neglected. And he teach some acupuncture classes. So there's no Xerox machine at that time. So I actually helped him draw all this. So that's why I revisit the past, that I draw his, which is the original book I have now in my apartment, and I color in all his drawing for acupuncture drawing. We call it Yi Cheng. I have a dog, a Dalmatian, and like I said, we lived right across the communist military, took over from the American intelligence office. And I have a dog, and it's a Dalmatian. And at the time, you know the adventure of Tintin and Milou, the French comic? And I named all my dog Milou. So we call Milou Milou. One day, Milou was shot by the communist car across the street, and they took her body and they ate her. So I don't, they're hungry themselves too. They have no food. So Milou was my dog, and she's always with me. And they came to our little garden, and they say that dog had rabies. She's inside the garden dog. She never went out, and shoot her and took her body. And I remember the guy carrying her blood dripping down his shoulder, and they're ready to have her feet across the street. We can't do anything about it. So this is the connected dot game, but I do this way with thread. Instead of just pen or pencil, I use thread to embellish the game, and graphite. This is also a series of, that whole series called a Cloud 9 series. And around 1984, 85, the government have slacking off. There's a lot of people had it, and they fled Vietnam during that time, and they're not as they have other job to do to catch the people that fled, So in our area, they kind of ignoring us a little bit. So my mom have usually sent my sister out, or me with my sister, to a black market to buy meat. And the cheapest type of meat that they sell to you only is the pork belly, thịt ba loại. So, and this is funny, the neighbors smell it when you cook, and they ask you, say, "Did you have meat today?" That's just the no-nos, and we say, no, I smell the fish sauce. So they always ask you. This is based on the ear acupuncture that my father drawing. This poem I written when I turned 40. It's a long poem, so I won't torture you. This is some of my recent work, and again, revisiting the past. I always use gasoline as a kid because it's so poor, and the city now have no electricity, so it's always use gasoline. What you call it, lantern. So I usually take the gasoline from the container and put on the paper and start trading. So that's why my drawing and trading come from there. And I trade all my dad acupuncture drawing. And this series actually doing the same way, trading on dripping with gasoline, and then the gasoline evaporate. And I paint with rust. I found nail rusting, a piece of metal rust. I paint with that too. So it's very organic. And I use an old typewriter, the typewriter we bought. We brought with us from Vietnam. And that sum up the slideshow. Thank you, Levi, for attending, and I hope it wasn't too boring.
writing is always, poetry, Vietnamese poetry, is always in my head since I grew up. And whatever I do, my father always says something poetic, because he came from that kind of generation. So it's always in my head. And I love to jot down little notes. What is it? When you say that? You know, I call him Cha. So it's like, so I wrote down. And now the older I get, the more in touch with what he wants to say, because he's in his 80 now. And probably one of the last people that I know and respect the most. Yeah, the only one. He's well known in Nôm, Vietnamese language, the old one. He writes fluently in Nôm, the old traditional script. A very modest man. He doesn't like to be known in the community. He just do his help with the church, and if he can. My parents are focused on that. So, to answer your question, yeah, poetry is always in my life. When I left Vietnam at the age of 16, I'm not educated enough to come up with sophisticated poems like my parents do, or my grandfather, but I try. But that is the fact, that the generation will die with my father's generation, the old culture, I believe.
I just have a comment. First of all, I would like to say thank you very much. You really moved me. You actually 1 year younger than my older daughter, and 2 years younger than my older daughter, and 1 year younger than my second daughter. So you sort of my son. You really helped me understand more about your generations under the communists. I left the country on 26th of April, so 4 days before the fall. So I don't have to endure what you are enduring. But I do hear from my mother and my father, my niece and nephews. Actually, one of my brothers escaped 3 times. He's not in Australia. I was very proud of you. And I would like to say thank you to your parents. We could keep you with the Vietnamese culture. I am so proud of this. Here's my daughter, my little daughter. She's learning Vietnamese right now. And she's an artist too. I was so moved on your poem. And you say that you don't have a sophisticated of that literature, but you are. It's just tugging at my heart. And thank you very, very much to bring our culture to the open world. And also to ring the bell about the communists under our country. And actually, literally, it's killing our next generation. His generation, my grandchildren's generation. All that literature has been burned when they come in. They go to a library and burn all the book. They just want to create, just like Pol Pot in Cambodia. I'm very proud of you. And thank you for the school here who sponsor our young artists.
I want to add to that. Thank you for the generous thoughts, and really, thank you very much. I'm very honored to be here, and very pleased that I'm very lucky that to have my family, and still alive now, and just, even though we like you, we came here with nothing. We start out. I'm cutting grass. My father walked 3 hours each day. We didn't have a car yet, to a job, to a factory. But this country is a country with full of opportunity and equality. And then if you work hard, you have it. You know, and I agree with you about most of the Vietnamese, that 70% of Vietnamese people living in Vietnam right now, they born after 1975. They know nothing about the war, they don't really care. So, I don't blame them, you know, because the education is different. Right after that, it's completely different. But I feel it is history, and I'm proud to be Vietnamese American.
Right.
Yes, if you ask me, you can say you're Vietnamese. I'm Vietnamese American. You know, very proud to be Vietnamese American. And this is my adopted country, and this is my country. And giving back is my duty, and sharing my story is my duty. And some of the young generation in New York City I came across actually doesn't care much about September 11 event.
Yeah.
So I think the young people usually, that's the mindset. But I think eventually after you get through life, some hurdles, you will look through and look back after you get a few 7 life. But thank you all for coming, and thank you for letting me talk.